Hey, do you remember that time that you were married to a brick wall? That's probably how it felt a lot of the time as your relationship was deteriorating. This is actually one of the unseen signals that a lot of people miss as their relationships are beginning to deteriorate. In the previous 4 videos in this series, we've been talking about the predictors of divorce and the obstacles in communication that frequently lead to divorce. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the final predictor of divorce in communication, and that is stonewalling. So stonewalling is so detrimental to a relationship because having access to your partner is one of the most important things. And what happens when somebody stonewalls you? And so first let me define what stonewalling is. Stonewalling is refusing to engage. It looks like if you're trying to talk to me, I just keep looking at my phone, or I keep staring at the computer or the TV or my video game or whatever I'm doing. I might get up and walk out of the room. I might start talking to one of the kids or something else. Stonewalling is refusing to engage. And it feels horrible in a relationship because that relationship is where I'm supposed to be able to matter. I'm supposed to be able to have your attention, and I'm supposed to be able to feel safe with you. And when you act like Teflon and I'm trying to connect with you and you're like, no way, it's really, really difficult for me to be able to feel like I matter to you or to feel safe with you because you're not giving me access to you. You're not making any room for me in your life. And so that really undermines our core needs of feeling like we matter, like we're valued in that relationship, and feeling it keeps me from being able to feel safe with you. So one of the most important questions here when it comes to stonewalling is, why wouldn't you want to engage with the person that you're married to? Why wouldn't you want to engage with the person who is supposed to be the most important person in your life? And so and that's why this stonewalling is so important, because by the time this becomes a pattern in a relationship, usually it's an indicator that the other person has already checked out. They are past even caring about how you think or what you think or how you feel. It's an indicator that they're not interested in engaging with you. And if that's the case, it begs the question, why do you want to be with somebody who doesn't want to engage with you and who isn't willing to make you a priority in their lives? What does it feel like to communicate with somebody who's stonewalling you? Well, it feels awful, for one. It can feel like you're trying to communicate with an immature teenager who is just blocking every attempt, walking out of the room. And usually adolescents aren't very subtle at it. And so they'll literally turn around and walk away, or they'll go in the room and slam the door or whatever. In adulthood, a lot of times we become a little more subtle in how we do that, but it's still that same thing, and that's what it feels like. It feels like trying to squeeze blood from a turnip and trying to be able to get them to give you what you're needing from that relationship, and they're refusing to do so. So when stonewalling is present, it's a very clear indicator that this isn't a relationship that I'm interested in investing in. I have stopped caring about you and your feelings. And so, and again, this isn't like a one-time occurrence, right? You've lived it. And this likely became part of the pattern that led to the disintegration of that relationship. And so what I'm trying to do here is to help you recognize what the red flags were, what the warning signs were that you might have missed, so that as you continue forward in your life, you become a master communicator, and you also become a master assessor, so that you can recognize and quickly assess whether or not these red flags are present in a relationship. And you can either try to do something to resolve them, or you can say, no, I'm not going down this road again, and this kind of behavior is a deal breaker, and I'm going to pop out. And so this stonewalling is a very clear indicator that I have stopped caring about this relationship to the degree that I'm not even willing to engage in it, and I'm not even willing to give you the time of day to try to understand where you're coming from. Oh, you're the stonewaller. So it may very well be the case too that you were the stonewaller in the relationship. You may have come to the point that you were so done, that you were so disinterested and cared so little about the relationship that you stopped giving him access to you. You stopped making room to try to listen to what he was feeling or thinking. And it's no healthier if you were the one that was stonewalling or if you were the stonewaller. Either way, it's a huge red flag in a relationship, And if you're feeling that way in a relationship, it's a real red flag of how committed you're feeling and how well that relationship is working for you, and you absolutely want to do something about it. So one of the things that you might be asking yourself is, why does this happen? How do you go from like having this person be the most important person in your life and absolutely being interested in what they think and what their dreams are and what they feel and what their point of view on things is, to, and the same, feeling that from them? It's likely that at the start of your relationship that you felt like he was super interested in you and cared about what you thought about things and what your point of view or your perspective was on different things. So how do you go from that to this place of like, I don't care? Because that's really what it's an indication of, is I just don't care enough to even engage. So how does that happen? And most of the time, there's an element of lack of trust in that equation. We don't trust that our thoughts or our feelings are going to be safe with the other person. And so we're preemptively trying to protect ourselves from the pain of not mattering by shutting down that avenue before we can get to that point. Another really important point of this is a lot of times we'll take it upon ourselves, like, man, what am I doing wrong that he's not interested in me or that she's not interested in me? You know, what am I, and how do I do this? What do I have to do I have to get, and we normally try all kinds of things, right? If I put on lingerie and stand in front of the TV, if I flirt with him, if I get angry with him, if I walk around naked and then walk in the other room, will he notice me? Will he follow me? We try all kinds of things to try to get the other person to engage. And the fact is that you can't control somebody else's willingness or not to engage with you. And when you start taking ownership of whether or not somebody is stonewalling you or not, or willing to communicate with you or not, you're fighting a losing battle. And a really important tip here is, rather than like standing on your head or trying to figure out what kind of song and dance to do to try to get the other person to engage with you, when this is happening, you want to stop and expose the process. You want to address the stonewalling very clearly. And so how does that look? That looks like, okay, so I've now tried to talk to you about this 3 different times, and the first time you walked out of the room, the second time you just kept looking at your phone, and the third time you seemed to completely ignore me altogether. So are you not willing to talk to me? Are you not interested in talking to me anymore? Or what's going on? And we call that process making the covert overt. Taking what's going on under the surface and bringing it up to the light of day so that it cannot be ignored. And that's a really effective technique to find out if the other person, hey, are you willing to do something about this or not? So let me give you some clear indicators that you can look for and ask yourself. 1, assessing what happened and see if you missed these red flags. 2, assessing as you continue to move forward in your life. So these are 4 questions that you can ask yourself. If you found or find yourself holding back because you're afraid of the reaction that you're going to get, that's an indicator that stonewalling might be happening. A second thing is if you feel like you're constantly trying to coax the other person, trying to again figure out how to get them to engage. If you found yourself constantly trying to coax the other person to engage, or if you find that in the future, that's an indicator. If you find yourself being scared or nervous about the kind of reaction that you're going to get, just in general, that's a sign that stonewalling might be occurring as well. And the fourth one is if you seldom felt heard or understand by your partner. If it felt like no matter how you tried to say something, you just couldn't get your point across, that's a really good indicator as well that stonewalling was happening. Unfortunately, you may have already found out how destructive stonewalling is in a relationship. The fact is that this is one of those things that can absolutely deal a death blow to a relationship, because it's an indicator of a much more significant problem of the apathy and the giving up and lack of caring that has likely already occurred in the relationship. And that's why it's such a destructive thing. So no matter where you are in your journey, You might be at the tail end of a relationship. You might be trying to decide whether or not the relationship that you're in is salvageable. You might be post-divorce and trying to understand what you missed or what happened or how to get back on your feet. You might be in a new relationship and trying to make sure that you navigate it well. Regardless of where you are in your journey, understanding how to communicate effectively, understanding the red flags of communication that are predictors of success or failure in a relationship is essential. And we have so many resources in our Core Connection program. This is a research-based program that has so many resources to help you get back on your feet, to be able to really work on the connection with yourself, the connection within, as the yogis talk about it, and to be able to really come to know and love and appreciate and know how to be a healthy you, how to work with your strengths and limitations that are part of your temperament, your personality. And we have a 7 principle-based program in our Core Connections program that help you get on your feet, get healthy individually, and then be poised to know how to be healthy relationally. If any of this resonates with you, and if you feel like you're at a point in your life where you're ready to take it the next step, you want to do something to take control of your life, schedule a discovery call with me, and let's find out if our Core Connections program is a good fit for you. I'd love to meet you, and I'd love to talk to you about some of the resources that we have that can be helpful. If you do want to schedule a discovery call, just click the link below. It'll take you to the calendar, and I look forward to meeting you.